I'm not wasting any more time on this game. Number one, I'm not having fun. Number two, you guys aren't having fun because look, people aren't engaging. People are just making fun of the fact that I don't like the game and I suck at the game, and no, you know, the contributions are low. So if that's the case, it means no one likes the stream. What's the point to keep playing it, right? What's the point? So I'm not going to bother anymore. I'm done with it. Actually, maybe we only have one other story. Hold on. We have one other story, and this story, sadly, is not a good one. This story, folks, is a major follow-up to one of the things I've been talking about for about a week and a half to 2 weeks, ever since the release of The Last of Us 2. In fact, I've been talking about this one since before the release of The Last of Us 2. About a week before The Last of Us Part 2 released, all of the major journalists out there released their early game reviews, alright? 1 week ahead of the actual official release of the game, these companies came out and said, here's our review of the game, okay? And almost everyone kissed the game's ass. Almost everyone said the game's a 10 out of 10, a 9 out of 10, a 9.5 out of 10. It was exorbitantly positive, these reviews that came out from gaming journalists a week before the game officially actually released on the internet. But here's the thing. The journalists were not allowed to talk about the second half of the game at all. They were not allowed to talk about plot twists. They were not allowed to talk about the plot mostly at all. Essentially, when you read these early reviews, you got about maybe a third of the game reviewed in these reviews. So it didn't make sense because you didn't get it in context of the actual game. But these journalists actually agreed to these ridiculous constraints because of early review embargo restrictions by Naughty Dog and Sony. What that means is because these guys received early copies of the game for free, they were not able to talk about the entirety of the game in their game reviews. Okay? Now, for those who don't know, a little bit of history when it comes to reviews. Reviews are supposed to be impartial. Reviews are supposed to be fair, balanced criticisms of whatever it is that you are reviewing. And that goes for any medium. It could be written word. It could be spoken word. It could be music. It could be television and movies. It could be video games. It could be any work of art whatsoever. When you're critiquing it, you're supposed to be fair and balanced, not biased. Because any kind of a biased opinion on something is not fair journalism, and it's not a fair critique or review. It's advertisement. Okay? Now, it doesn't actually matter if the person who puts out a positive review that's skewed towards the positive is actually monetarily compensated for what they've done. As long as they receive something for free and they then skew their review towards the positive because of it, that is a paid advertisement. Alright? And you may say, well, doesn't every industry operate like this? Yes. Every industry has these elitist people, these special people who get early copies early of everything. It could be movies or music or whatever, and they review them. It doesn't mean that it's right. Just because this is a common practice doesn't mean that it's right. Because when you get something early for free, you have an innate bias. You have an installed bias to positively review that thing. Number one, you didn't have to wait like everyone else to get it. You got it early. So you're part of this influx of, oh, an elitist crew, a hype crowd that got it early. Immediately you're going to feel better about whatever it is you're playing. Number two, you didn't pay any money for it. You have no financial investment in that whatsoever. Therefore, if that game sucks, who gives two shits because you didn't pay for it? Again, that's going to create an innate bias. Alright? This is why I am strongly against early release copies in the modern era. There was a time in the 1990s when these game journalists needed to get copies early because they all wrote in print magazines, etc. That means they needed to get the copies early, play through the entire game, write a written review, have it published for a physical piece of paper, and have that shipped to stores ahead of the release of the game. We're in 2020 now. There is no purpose, and just think about it this way. You have to think about it this way. Why do game companies actually clamor to get early review copies out there? I'll tell you why. It's because it's free advertisement. Not because it's free criticism, because it's free advertisement. These game developers, these publishers understand that when they give something to someone early, they are giving a reason for that person to say it's good, even if it's not. Because let's face it, out of the hundreds of people who received an early release copy of The Last of Us 2, about 97% of them reviewed the game overwhelmingly positively. And because of that, Sony is probably going to put them on their green light list. What does that mean? It means that those will be people that when Sony has another major project to promote in the future, will more than likely continue to get advanced release copies, which means they can continue to put out overly positive reviews. It creates a vicious circle of free advertisement. Okay? It's not good. It's completely dishonest. It is ridiculously harmful. Because then you end up getting people who think a game is so good they run out and buy it, and then they get it and they don't like it, which is exactly what happened with The Last of Us 2. Ridiculous amounts of people ran out and bought the game because of this overly hype review system that said the game was 10 out of 10, and within a day of the game actually being on the internet, you know, being played, people slammed the fuck out of it with negative reviews saying the story is one of the worst written stories they've ever seen ever. And this game did not deserve any of its praise. Not to say the game was the worst game ever, and not to say the game's a piece of donkey shit, but that the game is not the best game ever. The game does not deserve a 10 out of 10. It has tons of flaws, and a lot of people don't like this game because the story is not in line with what they were expecting from The Last of Us Part 2. Okay? That is a fair criticism. Someone has a right to not like The Last of Us 2, but Sony doesn't think so. Because here's the true news story for today, folks. Polygon wrote an article yesterday speaking about another gaming news source, Vice. Now, I guess Vice is an independent journalism website, and apparently Vice usually is very leftist. And what I mean by that is they're very supportive of LGBT plus rights and representation. Okay? So, Vice received an early copy of The Last of Us Part 2 and reviewed it fairly. And actually critiqued it fairly. They didn't give it a number score, by the way. But what they did is they reviewed it and basically said they didn't like the game because of the writing. They thought that the story of the game was shit. But they did like other elements of the game. It was actually, from what I'm to understand, it's a pretty fair and balanced review. Okay? So they reviewed this game, The Last of Us 2. They're one of the few outlets who gave it a negative review. Most other outlets just overwhelmingly, shiningly positive. Vice is one of the few. Alright. And what happened? I'll tell you what happened. Sony, not publicly, behind the scenes, Sony contacted Vice and said, hey guys, what gives? Your review is like really negative, and it's not in line with everyone else, so we want to talk with you about that. Okay? I just want you to think about this for a second before we even continue on with how wrong this situation is. Alright? You're given an advanced review copy of a game and told to review it. You do, and then the people who made it go to you and say, we feel your review is wrong. How dare you say negative things about our game? What? Huh? Now just think about how that must make you feel. You asked me for honesty. I gave you honesty. And you told me my honesty wasn't good. So then you didn't want honesty. Just the very fact that Sony contacted Vice about their review proves that Sony was not actually giving review copies. They were giving advertisement copies. Because the fact that they were so taken aback that someone would say something negative about the game proves they didn't want to hear any negativity. They only wanted positivity. Okay? So, this is 100% evidence that this whole system is corrupt and broken. So, Polygon reported on this yesterday. Other internet content creators reported on the Polygon article yesterday. And this caused a big domino effect across the internet. People started commenting on the story saying, this actually happens all the time. This is the first time we've actually seen it publicly discussed, because it seems to us that these people who get early advanced review copies are so nervous that if they say or do anything in regards to this process, they will no longer ever get early review copies. Okay? So, apparently it's a common practice for major companies who make games to then follow up and criticize the reviewers if they give them a negative review. Like, how dare you? Why are you saying negative things about our game? You better clarify your position because we feel this is unfair or whatever. Huh? Then that's not even, again, that's not review. That's extortion, essentially. Because you're saying, we'll give you something, but we will no longer, I take it back, not extortion. There's a word for coercion. It's coercion. You're trying to coerce people into doing things that they don't want to do so that they can have future positive benefit. Or else face blacklisting from them. Because that's all this is. Sony is basically bullying people who reviewed the game negatively. And saying, well, we really don't like the fact that you did that. We want to make that known. By the way, you may never get a copy from us again. Did they say that? No. But the fact they even wrote Vice, that's what that was a statement of. Just like them sending that early copy to this elitist group of journalists is a statement of free advertisement, give us positivity. They don't have to say it. It's implied. You see? And the fact that now it's coming out that all these major game developers actually do this kind of stuff all the time behind the scenes proves that the early release copy model doesn't work. We need to stop accepting this. People who get early release copies, we shouldn't even care about their reviews. If a review comes out before a game's out, don't fucking read it. There's no point. That's a paid advertisement. If a streamer gets a game early and is playing it a week early before the game comes out, don't watch their stream. Don't support that content. That's a paid advertisement. That's not a fair gameplay stream. That's not a criticism. That is an advertisement. A lot of people can't even criticize the games they're playing early. Alright? 2 years ago, I strongly criticized people who got a copy of State of Decay 2 early because they publicly said we're not allowed to criticize the game when we play it because of a review embargo. Then don't play the game. Stop being a fucking paid shill and be someone who actually wants to put out meaningful content for your viewers. Stop taking paychecks and actually do the right thing instead of being a scumbag and basically completely giving free advertisement to these companies, right? It's fucked up. This whole system is fucked up. All right? So this has always been a way to get around the whole system where you admit that something's a paid advertisement. Because in reality, let's say Naughty Dog or Sony actually said to someone, I'm going to pay you money to stream my game. The streamer has to actually explicitly disclose that. But if Sony or Naughty Dog says, I'm just going to give you a copy of the game for free and there's a review embargo, they don't have to disclose that it's a paid advertisement, even though in effect it is. You see? This is a way, they found a way around the system. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. People need to open their eyes. Alright? Chances are, those of you who watch my content, your eyes are probably open because I talk about this all the time. But this needs to become mainstream knowledge. It does. This needs to become mainstream knowledge among the gaming community that this practice is underhanded and evil, immoral, fucked up, and people need to stop this shit. People need to stop giving attention to early reviewers and early streamers because it's just irresponsible, immoral, and it's only done to promote and give free advertisement. It's not legit content at all. It's just not. Alright? That's my opinion on it. You have every right to dispute my opinion. You have every right to disagree with me. If you have concrete evidence refuting anything that I've just said, by all means present it to me. But in the 12 years I've been a content creator, this has been an underhanded practice that I've been seeing over and over and over and over, and I'm fucking tired of it. I'm tired of it. As a content creator myself, I hate that by the time that I play a game, there's full playthroughs of it out on the internet and full kiss-ass reviews before anyone's had a chance to actually touch the game for themselves and see what it really is. That's horseshit, and it needs to fucking end. We need to have people who actually buy games because they're good, not because someone said they're good a week early because it was a shill kind of a deal, okay? That's my take on it. Alright? So I don't know if we'll have any more follow-ups to this story at all. This might be the end of it because it seems like every single time that there's been a criticism of The Last of Us Part 2, Sony and Naughty Dog sweep it under the rug. Oh, that's because people don't like lesbians. That's because LGBT plus scares people and they can't handle that that's a major part of your game. No, people don't like the story of your game because Neil Druckmann wrote it horribly. The game is disjointed. The game is a fucking clusterfuck mess. The game has a completely different tone and vibe of the first game. You kill off major characters from the first game who everyone loves about, or loves and cares about within the first few hours. There's a million reasons to legitimately criticize your game. It has nothing to do with LGBT plus. You're just a fucking piece of shit for trying to create a straw man argument and trying to pretend that you're above criticism because you put liberal issues in your game. Fuck off. Okay, then. That's... Now, by the way, like I said, when I beat The Last of Us Part 2, likely this coming weekend, I am going to give it a fair review. I am not going to be all negative. There's a lot of positives about this game that I'm really enjoying. That's why I'm continuing to play the game. But I'm not going to pull back punches and hold back my opinions. I'm going to tell you guys what I truly feel when I review that game this weekend. I hope you guys know that and you understand that and you're ready for that. All right? All right. Cool. Those are my stories for today. I told you pre-stream was going to be crazy today because we had so much to talk about. Why so much happens in a short period of time when I'm not even here? It's crazy. All week we didn't have shit like that going on. And all of a sudden, boom. Like, holy shit. Okay, well, that was a lot to take in. But okay, I guess fair enough, right? All right. This is how I play the game. Tip me $1. I'm literally just going to read it and then move on because it's very stupid. He says, I don't know why you keep throwing out conspiracy theories about video game reviews. It's been proven false multiple times. It's never happened. No one's ever proven me false. Also, like, who cares, man? Someone has a different opinion than you on a game, man. That doesn't mean they're kissing ass, man. They just like that game a lot, man. Well, the dude, all I have to say to you is, you're welcome to your own opinion, and I'm welcome to mine. And if you can't stand that on planet Earth, someone can have an opinion different than yours, you can leave. We got a rocket. It's called SpaceX. It's getting ready to rev. The moon is calling, bro. All right. Last Rambo did a 50-bit cheer. He says, since you criticized early reviews, people are confused because you played Fallout 4 and a game or two early. What is the difference? Sure, I'll tell you the difference. When I played those games early, I didn't have any embargo on me. I was not expected to pull punches. And I didn't. In fact, I remember being very critical of Fallout 4 when it came out, saying, oh my god, the whole crafting system that's new is kind of cumbersome and annoying, and I don't like it. Oh my god, these settlements are so fucking annoying. Oh my god, the graphics are choppy in this place. It wasn't... There was no expectation of overly positive anything, alright? At all. I was allowed 100% when I played Fallout 4 to say and do whatever I wanted during that playthrough. Okay? There was no expectation of further collaboration with Bethesda just because they gave me that early copy of the game. The other things you're talking about are complete lunacy because the other games, the major games that I played early, one of them was because Howard had a fighting game early and I played it early because I wasn't going to be able to play it during release because I was going to an event, a convention. So that had nothing to do with it. I didn't even own the game myself. I just played it a few days early. The other one you're talking about is Dark Souls 3, when people got the Japanese version early, and I played the Japanese version, and I criticized the shit out of it. So, there's a difference between, oh, I got an advanced copy, and there's an embargo, and now I can't even criticize the fucking game because this is a paid advertisement, versus, oh, I got the game early, and I can say and do whatever I want because the company actually cares about fair and balanced criticism. Do you see the difference? I hope so. Lies of Her Soul, to me, $20, says a 255-character tip message or a sincere private letter would not express the joy I just watched your videos has brought me. Oh, the joy watching your videos has brought me. And many of your viewers untold happiness. So stay this way. Alright, you're welcome, Lies of Her Soul. And don't worry, I'm never going to become a paid shill. And I'm never going to be one of these guys who is overly positive and pulls punches. I'm always going to be an indie guy. It's you guys supporting me through crowdfunding is the reason why I'm able to be myself on a daily basis on stream. Because I'm not a paid shill, because I don't have partnerships with companies to say positive shit about games. That's why I get to still be here on a daily basis, and I hope you guys understand that. So thank you for that support. Thank you for allowing me to be who I am. TM52 Twitch just cheered and said, do you consider the corruption of games industry part of the greater phenomena of fake news and post-truth today? Why or why not? Can it be argued there's a legal interest in having reviewers keeping their products secret for the sake of sales, but the way it is, it seems they're so corrupt and to be excessive. The same kind of phenomena happened in government, media, business, and other sectors of society. 70 years of humanizedness leads to that humanizedness. Wow. That's pretty heavy. That's a lot of conspiracy in there. I don't know. The way I see it, whenever money gets involved in anything, that's when it gets corrupted, right? Video games were a lot more pure before they became ginormous business, the biggest entertainment industry in the world, and it all became about paid shilling It was a different time. Even just 10 years ago when I started on YouTube, it was such a different experience than it is today. You know, being able to go out and get a game on day one. There weren't 5 million paid advertisement reviews and streams about it already. And people would all judge for themselves. Now it's very different. So, if there's a conspiracy in there, I guess I say yes. I don't know. I have no idea. Wario22, watching Phil's stream tipped me $1 and says, I wonder if you could clarify for me, are you saying it's okay for people to get early game copies as long as there's no expectation they'll kiss the game's ass? I don't think, here's the thing, yes, but I don't think people can be trusted. That's my clarification. If people got early review copies and there was zero review embargo, like, you got it now, you could review whatever you want, say whatever you want, because that's what honest journalists do, I would probably support the practice. The problem is that's the honor system. You're basically putting the trust in the hands of the reviewer that reviewer is going to do the right thing. I don't trust them. You know, I don't. Sorry, I don't, but I just don't. I think that people innately look out for themselves. We've learned this during this whole coronavirus issue, and we know that people only want to do what's in their best interest, and therefore, if they give the game a positive review so they can get further collaboration with the company, they will, regardless of the fact that that's how they actually feel. And therefore, even though in an ideal society, in an ideal world, if we could have that promise that you get the game early, you'll review it fairly, then I would say yes, but there's no promise of that. Therefore, I don't agree with early review copies at all. So there you go.
Do you know what nemesis means? A righteous infliction of retribution manifested by an appropriate agent. Personified in this case by a horrible cunt. Me.